Very good. Welcome back, everyone. We're getting together again today to record some more information for you in part 2 of our right sizing and moving series. There's a lot of information to learn about this process, and we know it can be overwhelming for folks. After we shared the first series and the first session with some of our resident and adult child testimonials, there were a lot of questions that came up, in requests for additional information. So we're going back at it again, and this time we're specifically covering the auction portion of the process. So we know that you're not going to, when you're downsizing, you're not going to bring everything that you own then to your new home at Westminster Village or wherever it is you're moving. There's got to be a way to get rid of the things that you're not bringing. We know we can donate things. We know we can drop things off at Goodwill. We know we can give it to children. Maybe even some things go just to the garbage. But there's also, maybe value in your things at home too. So we want you to very seriously consider, the auction option. And so we have John Morris back with us from Caring Transition. And that is part of what they do. They're very much a full service moving company, and the auction portion of their business is I think very intriguing. So we have John back to share a little bit more with us about what that is exactly, and how does that process work, and how do you sell things online, what is sellable, answering all of our questions as we go along. Then we'll talk to you about the new Westminster Village moving package gift that we are offering right now, and to those of you who deposit before the end of the year. And then finally, we'll tell you a little bit more about what's going to happen on our next session. So, hello, everybody.
Hello.
And welcome back. Of course, Rebecca Shake is with us too. Rebecca's our residency counselor here at Westminster Village. And Sarah Young is your partner in the move. Sarah's our move-in coordinator, and can answer questions, and also has questions of her own for John. And welcome back, John Morris.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
John, go ahead and tell us a little bit more, if you will, whatever it is you want to say about the auction portion of your business.
Well, the auction business, online auction business, is booming right now. People are at home. I think they still have stimulus money left over to spend, and they are ready to spend and buy. There's a lot of items that people aren't able to get in stores right now, but we have it secondhand on our online auctions.
You say that there's some items that people can't get in stores, but they can get on the auction. What are some of those items?
Appliances, furniture, things that are on back order that have been closed because of the COVID.
Okay. I know a lot of times with my, or people that I'm working with, and I mentioned, that you have the auction and that it's online, they have some questions. How does that work? Do you come into their house and take pictures? Do people have to come to their house and pick it up? How does that whole transaction work?
We liquidate an estate right from their home. We set up photo studios in different parts of the house and take photos and a description, and then we load it right up to our nationwide auction system.
Okay. Do you have any way to store any items if, for say somebody is still living at that house and they don't want people coming in? Do you have a way to?
If they're wanting to declutter to make their home safer, we can move out pieces. I store them and then add them to sales, or have a sale of items that people have added. If they move and have just a few pieces left, we can move them and resell them later.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit more about the auction and how that all works. And
well, Caring Transitions has a proprietary nationwide auction system online. We put our auctions online. We have bidders locally and nationally. A lot of our items we ship out. I have a lot of buyers in Hawaii. I think I might have said that on the first part, but we, especially the smaller items, we ship everywhere. We like to run our auctions about 6 to 10 days. We advertise locally. We advertise nationally. I like to use Facebook. I get a lot of new bidders. We have a lot of people come from Indianapolis to pick up items. So it's really booming right now.
And is there a fee for that? How does a fee work for that, with the auction?
We may have a sorting and organizing fee if there's a lot of boxes to unpack, attics to clean out, garages to clean out. We also have a staffing fee and an advertisement fee, and then we do 35% commission on the items sold. It's sounds like a lot of charges, but they get a lot of bang for their buck because they get their house cleaned out, they get it ready to put on the market if they need be, and we get rid of all the debris.
I'm going to pull up your site, John, so that people can see what exactly an online auction looks like. So this is one of the pages for your site on Caring. I guess I should go to the top, shouldn't I? On CT Bids is the name of it.
Yes.
And then, so this is an example of something you would see when you go online to the auction site. Maybe a room where you can click on a particular room, and then all of the items that you might purchase for that kind of a room will show up that are here for bid.
Yes.
For sale.
Yeah.
This is great. So you're going to keep an item. Let's say this little table right here is mine. So you're going to keep that up there for 7 to 10 days, and whoever was the highest bidder by the end of that gets it, right? And then they're going to come and pick it up from wherever it is at that time.
Correct. Only the winning bidders get the address of the item's location, and then we have an appointment setter. So they set appointments, and we only have a few people show up at certain times to pick up their items. So it's a pretty private way to have a sale. If someone has a yard sale, everyone in town knows where it's at, and sometimes everyone in town shows up at the same time. We do it privately, and I think a little bit more securely, so you don't have those people at your house that you don't want at your house.
And John, let me just ask you, is there a fee, like say if that chair was mine and it was in the auction, if to ship it, say someone from out of town bought it, who would that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
For shipping, I charge a handling fee to the buyer, and then they also pay the exact postage amount.
Okay, all right.
And they know all that up front before they buy it.
Okay, that's good.
And John, if somebody was maybe a little bit uncomfortable with people they don't know coming to their house, would you or another team member of yours be willing to be there as well?
Yes. We've done sales pickups where people don't even come into the house. As soon as they pull up, we meet them at the curb, especially during the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So you have curbside pickup.
Man,
Set to go.
we were doing curbside pickup before it was really popular. So.
Some of these things are really neat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I could see that it takes a lot of time to take all these photos and then get it all up on the website. So I can definitely understand why there's a fee that goes along with the setup of all of it. Because I mean, if you really want to get it out there to a broad audience, you've got to go online. And if you're going to go online, it takes time. So this is really
on our page view, 209 people have looked at that. So
yeah,
we get it out there. Sometimes that number is more in the thousands, depending on what it is.
And of course, you know, the advertising, if you think about it, if you're trying to sell something on Craigslist or whatnot, you know, people aren't going to see it, and there's a million others out there. So if you're advertising for those items, it's going to pique people's interest quicker than scrolling through Craigslist or the marketplace on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's very tedious.
Over the past 3 years, I've been building an email list too. So local buyers get an email every time we have a sale.
So if you had a certain item in particular, you might even have a specific buyer that you could talk
Yeah.
to and let them know.
Yes, I have a list of buyers that are looking for certain items.
What are some of those items that they're looking for?
Collectibles. I have furniture buyers, resellers. So
Are collectibles, when you say that, like dishes or?
now you'll hear a lot of talk about China and things like that not being popular with younger people, but we look at China and certain types of China patterns are still popular and still sell well. So I always like people to keep their things until I look at them before they start discarding or donating or giving away, because sometimes that may be the valuable items that they don't think is valuable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or you might know that's what sells right now or something.
Yes.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, they say, right?
I just said that earlier today. I was with someone, we were at their house, John and I were earlier today, and I said that exact phrase.
So there have to be some items though that that just don't sell. Like, what are those items that somebody can, yes, just go ahead, give it to the kids or toss it or give it to Goodwill?
If it's, well, there's some things even Goodwill doesn't want. If it's, well, console TVs for sure, but I can take care of that for people. We can't give them away hardly anymore. But if it's stained or frayed or worn and you don't really want it yourself, then it's a good sign that it's probably not going to sell and may not even be donatable. So that's a good rule of thumb. Linens, bathroom linens, things like that. But we've been known to sell cleaning products and things like that we rather than going to Walmart, people will buy a big bunch of it from us, and so we sell just about everything.
What about oh, sorry.
What about when you are having an auction and maybe something doesn't sell? What do you do with it then?
We don't donate it to the choice location the family wants to donate to. If that's not available, Goodwill and Habitat for Humanity are always my backup plans. I like to donate to the House of Hope over by Brazil or Helping Hands in West Terre Haute. Those are always popular ones. Salvation Army, I'd like to donate to them, but they say, we have enough, please don't give us anything else. So Goodwill's the go-to place usually.
I'm sure. I know we have a lot of our prospects who tend to move in here tend to have a lot of books. That's probably another question they would have is, what do I do with all the books? What are the options?
Well, I always like to look at the older books, 1840 and older do sell well. And then some collectible books sell well. So I always take a peek at the books. And what we'll do is put a grouping of books together, and we can sell a large amount of books to resellers and places like that. If they don't sell, then we can donate them to the library or Goodwill.
Another question I have is just with the timeline, because I think sometimes people aren't sure about what comes first, what comes second. And just the other night we had somebody say, well, what do I do next? What do I do next? So I guess what's maybe the ideal timeline for things, and then I guess the other options as far as where auction fits into the timeline.
To me, I think it's easier to get moved and get the things you want in place in your new apartment or condominium, and then after that take a little bit of time to make sure there's not something else you want or something you want to get rid of, and then have the auction. It seems to work the best, and but we can do it anytime. But sometimes it just feels it's a little awkward when you're selling someone stuff when they're right there with them. So And sometimes I don't think people like seeing their stuff go out the door. So my preference is to do it after they've moved and settled in. And a lot of times after that, they see they really don't need that stuff anyway. I think it just makes it easier for everyone.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, logistically, like if you get yourself moved first, so you know what you're taking and what you're going to want and have, and then you know what you can get rid of after that. And hopefully, if you're selling your home too, you work that out with the new buyer such that you have a little time in there, at least a good week to get things kind of sold and out and cleaned out before they would take possession of the home.
My preference is 2 weeks, but we can do it in a week if we have to.
Okay.
John, how long have you been in the auction business? Did you start carrying transitions and carrying transit or CT bids at the same time, or were they one kind of came after the other? How did that happen?
Yes, no, it's an all-in-one package. Carrying Transitions business plan is set up that way, that we take care of everything from start to finish. I've been, before I bought CT or Carrying Transitions, I was a nurse, but my side hobby was buying and selling antiques and going to auctions. So I've been doing it for a good while now and have a good appreciation for vintage things and antiques and collectibles.
What would you say is probably the best thing that's selling on the market right now? Is it just the furniture and the refrigerators, or is there like some sort of antique special, I don't know, thing that maybe even Longaberger baskets or anything like that?
Well, about 15 years ago, Longaberger, the glassware, things like that, the market just fell out because things that we sell now used to sell for a lot more, but there's still a market for them. And a lot of people will say the younger people don't want these things, but there are some young people out there that are buying collectibles. So
like milk glass or carnival glass or depression glass
and carnival glass are both fairly popular now. Younger people are using the milk glass for decorations. So the clear pressed glass is not popular at all right now, but the crystal, like Waterford and things like that, are still selling really well. Just plain glassware though, it's kind of hard to almost give it away right now. But we still sell it, but we just don't get a lot for it.
Is there anything in particular you're wishing you could get more of?
I love to sell the collectibles, the brewery type things. I love to sell local things, Terre Haute things, Hoosier things. I love selling that stuff. I love buying it. I have it. So, and any of the antiques, the vintage electronics, I love to sell. They sell really well. That's one of the main reasons I tell people not to throw things away, because to them it may be an old stereo or an old record player, but it could be a high-end collectible to somebody. So I like to look at it first, and really any antiques.
Like a 1940 portable AM radio that's that green and white from that time period.
The Bakelite radios and
yes,
the colored radios. Some of those are like worth their weight in gold.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Depending on which one you get. And I enjoy researching that stuff and seeing what the current market value is and trying to get it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There, it sounds like you have that specific radio.
I think Sarah's going through her house.
I know. I talked to John earlier. I'm like, how much do you charge an hour? I might need to have you come by. It sounds like he really, when we were meeting with some people that are going to be moving into Westminster, I was really impressed just listening to the services and things that you're offering them. And I could just see that kind of relief coming to them, like, oh, you do this and you do this, you know, and just kind of, and the way you just kind of offered that service to them, I think really kind of gave them a little hope and relief at the same time.
Extras too. Like I was at a client's house the other day and their lattice work had all fell down on their deck, and I had a drill and I had some screws with me, so I just went and buzzed all that back on there for them real quick. Didn't take long, and I don't even know if they know I did it, but it looked a lot better, and I'm sure
Awesome. That's going above and beyond, you know, and yeah, I think it does. And, you know, and I think it doesn't only bring comfort to our residents and our new residents who are moving in, but also their family members, because so many have moved away, you know, and it's hard, and maybe they don't necessarily, you know, want all the things that are in mom and dad's house. They don't have space for them, or don't want to spend the money to haul it across the country. So to know that there you have the service to sell it for them, get a little bit of money out of it, do it in a safe way, and then also clean out all the other stuff, you know, that just is not going to be sellable, that maybe is just papers and, you know, old mail and kind of junk that needs to go, is good to know, because it's got to go at some point, right?
Right.
John, do clothes sell? Do you sell those? Like if somebody had a large, you know, a lot of clothes or something in a closet that they wanted to get rid of, is that something that you sell on your site?
For sure. We look for vintage clothes. Of course, you know, designer brands sell old leather jackets, just really any vintage clothes. I sold some dresses. I think it was back in the spring, but somebody in Hollywood bought them and we shipped them to Hollywood.
Wow.
That's neat.
You could see them on a movie set or something, maybe.
Yeah.
They easily went right in the Goodwill, but they just kind of had they looked older, and so we put them on there and sold them, and I think they sold for a pretty good amount too.
That's awesome.
That's impressive.
It is. See, and who would have thought? And see, that's the kind of thing I guess you can't, you know, again, you can't get from a local or just an on-site normal auction or estate sale. But when you put it online, boy, that just really opens up the buyer pool, and therefore potentially the money that you could get out of something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Huge. Yeah. So the more even I ask questions about it and get to know what you do, the more comforting it is, and less foreign than it sounds. So I hope that our prospects and their families will feel the same way too, you know, not be afraid of it because it's technology. I mean, you're handling all the technology. That's not something that they have to worry about. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And I like to do the auctions for 6 to 10 days, where an on-site auction or an auction barn, that's one day. If something happens, bad weather, maybe there's 4 on-site auctions that day, and we don't get as many buyers there. Our auction goes over several days, and sometimes I picture the buyers in their pajamas, laying in bed on their phone, bidding. Bid any time on our online auction.
What about if somebody has something that they know is worth a certain amount of value, and they're only willing to take this amount or more? Can you set the bid at a certain price and then up, or how does that work?
Yes, we can put a reserve on it so that it doesn't sell less than the reserve. And sometimes once it's been online, and I mean, we may have 1,000 views and we've advertised it. Sometimes the sellers will say, well, you know, I wanted to get $100 out of it, but it's going for 50. So go ahead and let them have it. And I mean, at least it's usually going to a good home, and they know we've tried our best to get that reserve. And so, but we can do that.
Okay.
And I'm not, especially if it's artwork or something like that. Like we have a client that had several pieces from a local artist. And I think we probably could have sold them and got maybe a fair amount for them, but I think it was probably better off going to the swope, where maybe in 100 years, local people will be able to appreciate it. And I was okay with that, and glad that I could kind of help facilitate that.
It's wonderful to hear that you prefer to donate it, you know, so that everybody can enjoy it.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right.
We probably don't think about those things. We don't think about our artwork deserving to go into a museum.
Right. Not mine for sure.
You don't think my "you can" sign can go in a museum?
No, this is very helpful. I appreciate you spending a little more time with us talking about this portion of the business. And it sounds like, I mean, if the situation lends itself to that, you know where you're going, make your decision, make your move, then worry about all the other stuff, kind of is the way to go. You know, certainly, you know, you work some time in there when you're going to have your kids or grandkids come and maybe take the items that they want and can use. You know, there's a little period and a window for that, but the rest of it is potentially sellable. And if not, then you'll take care of the rest of it for them. So I hope that us talking through this kind of lessened the stress that maybe some people are having about the downsize and the move and how am I going to do this by myself? And, you know, because there is a process, there are professionals out there, and there's a system we can follow to make it work.
It's true. I do consults. A lot of times you can just kind of see the stress just going on with people's eyes and their face. So I like that part of it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, John. And so I want to make sure that we talk about the incentive, because you mentioned consultation. That's one big part of the Westminster Village Cares incentive that we're doing now here at Westminster through the end of the year. If you deposit on an apartment or a villa, secure your home, then you're also going to secure yourself a free moving package with John and Caring Transitions. So that equates to one consultation, a day of packing, a day of moving, and getting your things unpacked. Also in that consultation, we sit down and help you figure out your floor plan, what pieces are going to go where. So that's a huge value. I mean, really, it's for its typical move, you know, valued up to about $3,000. You know, so it's a huge weight. I hope you lift it off your shoulders, and maybe a way to make that your decision and timing, you know, for moving to Westminster Village that much easier when you know you've got John as a partner in the process. So that's one thing that we're offering to you now. And
I'll throw in there a little bit of bragging. I hired an interior designer that loves to do space planning and loves to figure out where pictures go. Tells me when I have them up way too high and I have to bring them down, and she's been a great asset to me. And she is raring to go out and do space planning for me.
that's terrific. A free designer in the package too. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing, John.
Yes.
And thank you. Yeah, that's been terrific. Unless you ladies have other questions you think that you would want to have answered, we'll say goodbye and wrap up session 3. And we hope that we'll send out the link for, to everybody, but we hope you'll also watch for session number 3. Sorry, we wrapped up 2. We're going to move on to 3. So that we can find out a little bit more specifically about that pack day, that move day, what does that look like, and so hopefully take even a little more stress away. So thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.